Good morning. Good morning. Rev here this morning. It's Friday. It is the 8th of October of 2021. I hope that you're safe and well and blessed this morning. I'm going to ask you to be in prayer today for a group called Bitter Creek V. That's a group that I play with, and we are playing tonight for the Alzheimer's Association to raise money for it. So if you're in the Carmi area, come on out to the VFW around 8 o'clock or so and check it all out. We're going to have a good time, and it will be better than the last time. I promise you that. And that's all you need to know. I want to read to you this morning from Matthew chapter 28. This is beginning with verse 16. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you to the very end of the age." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. A quick story about a man that was in a hospital, and he had accidentally knocked over a little cup of water. And he called the nurse's aide to come in and clean it up, asked if she'd clean it up. And she looked at it and said, "Well, that's too big a spill. It belongs to housekeeping." So she calls housekeeping. Housekeeping comes in and says, "No, it's not my responsibility. That's too small. You clean it up." And so they begin to argue back and forth who's responsible for cleaning it up, because one thought it was too small to clean up, the other thought it was too big to clean up, and it just kept going back and forth and back and forth. And finally the man grabbed a pitcher of water and dumped it on the floor, and it says, "Now, is that big enough for you guys to make a decision?" It was, and the argument ceased. Responsibility. We all have it. We all have some type of responsibility. You go to work, you have responsibilities. You have school, you have responsibilities. You have a family, you have responsibilities. You go to church, you have responsibilities. Everything that we do in life, there's some responsibility that belongs to us. Remember the group projects we used to do in school, where everybody had a part that they were responsible for? Seems like when I did it, it was one kid that would do most of the work, almost all the work, in some sense hog all the work to get all the glory, but and in my case that was okay. But we all have responsibilities. Bad business can frustrate angry employees, and they become less productive. They start to shirk their responsibilities. There's a great price to pay when there's responsibility without authority. And without authority, there's no responsibility. Neither the person or any organization will reach its potential if people shirk their responsibilities. And it's just as true in the church as it is for business or for school. There are thousands of churches across America that are pastored by frustrated and angry clergy who feel the responsibility to make their churches grow, and to ensure that all of the wonderful ministries that their churches do get done. Look at what Jesus tells his disciples to do. Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. See, church, if we are going to reach our full potential, we have to take these words of Jesus seriously. Go and make disciples of all nations. Those words, go and make, That gives them responsibility. That gives you and me responsibility. We are to go out into the world and to make more disciples. Now, you got to remember that these people, these disciples of Christ, they weren't polished speakers. They were just everyday, ordinary people. They were fishermen, tax collectors. They were political extremists. No pastor or religious professionals in the group. Just men and women that we would call laity. They had responsibility. But what about authority? Well, they already had authority. Jesus had given it to them. Jesus didn't guard that. That was back in Matthew chapter 10. He had already given them authority. Jesus didn't guard the authority that he had. He gave it to his disciples. And he gives it to you and me today. We have responsibility and we have authority. If we shirk the responsibility and if we shirk the authority that we have been given, nothing is going to get done for the kingdom. If we accept the responsibility and the authority that we've been given, then we can be unstoppable. We will prevail. The gates of hell cannot prevail against us. If we accept that responsibility and the authority that God has given us, that Christ has given us, we will reach our full potential. And this is our group project, and every one of us has a responsibility. Excuse me. A responsibility to go out and make disciples. I hope you have already accepted that mandate, because it's a command of Christ. It's not a suggestion. Jesus didn't say, "I hope you'll go out and make disciples." He said, "Go. Go and make disciples." Will you? Will you go and make disciples for Christ? Will you accept the responsibility that has been given you by Christ? I hope and I pray that you will. I'm Pastor Mark. Love you guys. Be safe, be well, be blessed, be strong. Go do something for Jesus. I'll see you tomorrow.